one of the things that other companies that offer virtual, they may hand you this great platform and just give you the keys to the castle. Well, we will tailor what we have a lot of options, tailor those to fit your event. And then we're there the entire time with you through beginning to the end, just so it takes that worry or stress off you. We're handling all of that, so you can continue to do the things that you need to do to make your event successful. So that helps a lot of our customers take that worry of how do I manage all this. We're that support arm for you, which is very helpful. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, and that's a good point, Brad, because you're right. Someone will hand you the keys, and then you're kind of left with the support, the technical side of it. I mean, just think about us. I mean, on-site guys, all the events you guys do, you have somebody you can go to on-site to say, hey, I have a problem here, or I need this, or I need that. Virtually, you need that as well. And so we have the entire tech support behind it, and John and Matt can get into that a little bit, how that works and how that looks. So John, Matt, I'm not sure who's going to take this one on, but I'll go ahead and start.
Awesome. I'll go ahead and just kind of start this off. So the first thing I'd like to tell you guys is that John will be the one doing the full MVP demo for you guys today, but MVP is just a tool in our tool belt. It's been really successful with events that have a large number of breakout rooms, and it has helped with those type of events. But that's not really all we do. We also help out with events that are more of a standard traditional live stream, where if you're doing just kind of a continuous message that has a higher production value, we can assist with those type of things. And we understand that platforms are so different that we want to match you with the best platform that works with your type of show. And so John will talk about that a little bit. But I'll go ahead and let John jump into it and kind of show you our MVP demo site.
So this is a demo site that we set up under our MVP platform. This is based off of a previous company meeting that we had internally. But what you're looking at right now is kind of the front page of this demo site. This is all very, very customizable down to fonts, colors, the arrangement of various elements. We can really make it look however you need to. We can kind of match this up to one of your websites if you're looking for something like that. If you want it to look like it kind of belongs with one of your association websites, that's something we can also do. This site can handle registration natively within the site, so we have this big register button here. And you can have even various ticket types, which is going to basically limit access to what sessions various tickets are allowed to go to. You can also just do one big general admission ticket if you want to do that, or you can add say like a small free ticket for certain people if you want to just kind of give them access to a pre-conference session or like a keynote or something like that, but then to get all to the breakouts they have to have these other tickets. That's also very doable. We can do promo codes. So if I go down here, enter a promo code that I've set up called sponsor. Say if you have a high-level sponsor you want to give 20 free registrations to, you can make a promo code for them. You type that in, and then that's going to make that ticket visible. You can highlight certain people that are attending, or you completely disable this. And if I go a little lower on this front page, we've also put in a section here to highlight some of these speakers. Some of these people I'm sure you will recognize from this meeting. And then I can actually click on one of these profiles. You can learn a bit more about that speaker. You can also look at sessions they are presenting at. You can also connect certain social media accounts such as Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter, and it will even populate some of those personal details if you bring in a LinkedIn account, which is really handy. And you can see a Twitter feed as well for that particular person if they choose to do that. Your speakers and attendees, they can go in and personalize their own profile, but you also have access to do that on your own in the back end if you just want to go in and kind of populate some stuff for those specific speakers. And checking out some more of our front page here, we have an area for some exhibitors. This could also be sponsors with various sponsor levels. That's very doable. You can customize the colors and the titles for those different sponsor levels. You can add as many of those as you want. And then down here at the bottom, you'll see this link to download an app. If that particular event already has a conference app that you want to link to this, that's just fine. This platform also has app support. That can be an app that is completely white labeled and has its own link on the various app stores if you would like for it to have that. And then jumping over here to our agenda page. So this is kind of where I think a lot of attendees will spend most of their time. This is where you can put your complete conference agenda. You can break that up by the different days these various sessions are scheduled for. You can also create categories to search against. So like I said, this was based off of one of our internal company meetings. So I put everything in two categories, a tech category and a sales category. But say I'm coming in here and I am a technician and I'm interested in video and computer type sessions. I can select those and then it's going to show me those sessions that are associated with that. And you can have as many categories or tags as you want. And I'm going to jump into an actual session here and kind of show you what that looks like. And it's also going to show sessions across the top here that are currently live. So I'm going to jump into our Networking 101 session. So the session page here that we're looking at, this is for a live session. And at the top up here, you can see this banner at the top that can be completely customized. And as I scroll down here, right here, this is this Kaltura Interact. And with Kaltura Interact, it is completely embedded inside of the platform. You can upload assets such as PowerPoint, video rolls, you can do pictures. The attendee can have an open chat room that everyone else gets to see, but you can also completely disable that. Then you can also have this Q&A function, and I could send in questions that only people identified as moderators can see, and then they can choose to send private replies, or they can just answer live for everyone to hear. And as I scroll down here, these are some of these speakers that are kind of associated with this event. And as I assign speakers, it doesn't really give them any additional access or anything like that. It's just for the attendee to see on the session page. We have a process for actually giving those particular people the speaker access they need to come in. They can personalize anything, as early as they need to. And we really want them to do that up to a week in advance. Get in there, update some content, make sure that everything's ready to go for the day of instead of jumping in like 15 minutes before and doing that. And that's something that we help support. Like we said, that we're not just giving you a platform. We actually set up what we call tech checks. And that's where we'll actually schedule a little bit of time to have a one-on-one with these speakers. We get them into the session rooms. We make sure that they understand how to upload this content. We make sure they understand the platform and how to interact with attendees. We make sure that they have any technical questions answered, they have a good enough internet connection. We also have, show you this best practices guide that we have. This is something that we like to send out to our presenters beforehand, and this just goes through some of some bullet points of best practices to be a virtual speaker. Some things like, don't stand in front of windows, make sure you're well framed, to be wary of what's in the background of your picture, stuff like that. Back to the agenda here. I'm also going to jump into our LED wall session. So the great thing about our platform is we do have that integrated solution called Kaltura, which is based off of education. It's very interactive. It's completely baked into the site, but we're able to integrate with multiple platforms, pretty much any platform out there. This is an example of bringing in a stream from Vimeo. We really like Vimeo for anything over 200 people. That is one restriction of the Kaltura Interact, is if you have 200 people, you need to look at some other options. Vimeo is a great option because it has a really high quality audio and video feed to it. It introduces a little bit of delay to the stream, but you can have as many people as you could want watching this video. I've done streams well into the six figures numbers of attendees, so there's no limitation there. But this is a great example of an event that is using some graphics switched in. You can do lower thirds. Sometimes we're able to bring in people with a platform such as Zoom. They can be completely remote, and we're able to have this graphic overlay and make for a really nice high quality stream. And we can also make use of that lovely studio that we talked about earlier. So some clients, they have the luxury of being local here, or you can fly people in. We can actually bring them into our studio where we have a really nice stage, LED wall backdrop, multiple cameras, and we can create a really, really nice looking production and then stream that to one of these Vimeo sessions. So I'm going to hop back over to our Networking 101 session real quick and show you some other functionality of that page. Also, we can attach up to 2 sponsors per session. Like I said, they can have those various levels assigned to them. We can attach files as well, which is great for like session handouts. If you want to attach the PowerPoint file and then attendees can jump into the session, they can actually download that file and then have that to keep. All right, I'm going to hop over to our speakers page. So this is kind of a page kind of devoted to highlighting the various speakers of the conference. Again, this is something that you can completely customize, but for right now, it pretty much works the same way as that speaker session you saw on the homepage. I can jump in and actually click on any of these particular speaker profiles. And then jumping over to our community page, this is a really, really cool feature. This is what kind of answers that problem of allowing attendees to engage with other attendees and other people associated with the conference. So this is something that can be completely disabled, but the way this kind of works is you think of it as kind of your intranet, your social intranet for your virtual conference meeting. So people can go in here, they can choose to be part of the community. They can interact with other attendees, speakers, sponsors. You can search for people based off of their job title, company name. You can also look at some geographic data. There's even some functionality for suggested connections. This is based off of your job title, sessions that you have liked, stuff like that. We do recommend this be something that people kind of have to opt into. We can make anyone in the conference just automatically in this community. That's something we can absolutely do. But if they're in the community, that does allow for anyone else in the community to reach out to them. They can't jump in and just see their email and start sending them emails. How that works is I actually say, hey, I want to talk to Matt here. So I'm going to click on send him a message. And then I'm able to send a message to Matt. As you can see, I have done many times. He's going to get an email that I visited his profile. He's also getting an email that I sent him a message, and then it's going to pop up for him in this top right that, hey, he has a message, and he can jump in and he can actually reply to me within the platform. So pretty cool. And then I'm going to jump over to our sponsors page. So this is just some canned sponsors that I threw in here. I've applied some of these different levels to them. I do enjoy my video games, so I just threw some video game companies in here. And these work very, very much like our exhibitors. So if I click on one of these guys, you can see a quick blurb about the company, and you can visit that company's website. The only differences are exhibitors, you don't have those various levels associated with them. I'm going to jump over to that exhibitors page. I'm going to show you some of that additional functionality we kind of built into our virtual exhibit hall. So we got a lot of feedback from clients, and they wanted just various features they wanted to offer their exhibitors. So say kind of that tier 1 exhibitor or sponsor, maybe they just get, say, a logo, a little blurb about the company, and you click this button and it's going to go to their website. But maybe that tier 2 sponsor, you go in, and instead of just going to their company website, it's going to go into an internal website that we've built out. And inside of here, you can do things such as embed some video. Scroll down here, and we have some information about various products that they have, and then these buttons are going to link out to the other pages, or they can link back to their company website. And then for some added functionality, we built out a really nice page for Barco. Barco is a company that supplies a lot of high-end projectors for us. Can't wait to get using those guys again in the live environment, but that day will come. So this page for Barco, we put a really nice header up here for them. We embedded video. We have that same product information, but scrolling down here to the bottom, we have a nice contact us form. So attendees can jump into here. They can fill out some information, say, hey, I'm interested in these various products. Some other stuff we thought about was you could actually set up some selections on this form for them to schedule a time to talk with them. Then this would fire off some information to whoever with that company with all the information they filled out. And we could also include some Zoom links or some Kaltura links so that they can actually jump in and talk with these guys. But we also just set up a live, always live private Kaltura meeting. So if an attendee was to say, click on this, talk to us live, and then they're just dropped into one of these Kaltura rooms. No one's in here right now. The idea is that someone from that particular company would kind of be manning this virtual booth, and then they could talk to attendees as they come in about their products and what they're offering. One idea that we've had too is for maybe a large exhibit booth where they plan on getting a lot of attendee traffic, we can set up some breakout rooms within this Kaltura session for those various products and services. And then as people come in, you greet them, you talk to them, see what they're interested in, and then they could pass them off to one of those breakout rooms and say, hey, let me pass you off to this guy that knows all about that various product, and they can have those one-on-one conversations. So trying to make things interactive has been a really big goal for us. You know, we understand that some of that kind of gets lost in these virtual event environments. So that's why we have this community aspect. That's why we're creating these ways for exhibitors to kind of reach out and talk to attendees on a one-on-one basis. And then also with those Kaltura Interact sessions, you know, people can go in, they can ask questions, they can respond to polls. All of that's very easy to do. And then finally, I'm going to go to the social page here. Social page is basically just a page kind of devoted to bringing in social media posts. Right now, you're looking at a social wall that we have embedded from walls.io, which is just a third-party service, but this can be completely white labeled, so no worries there. This can bring in any kind of social media posts from, say, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, any of the major platforms. And then the idea is that we would have someone from the conference staff that was, they had access to that social media platform, and they would moderate what shows up on the site. At the end of the day, people can post whatever they want to the various hashtags and social media platforms. That I couldn't moderate, but I can absolutely moderate what makes it to this website so that we are sure that the stuff that's popping up here is stuff that we actually want to see. So that is our site in a nutshell. And also know that there's plenty of functionality that's not visible on this virtual event page. There's lots of stuff for doing email marketing. You can go in, you can schedule certain emails to go out at certain periods of time. The idea is we want to get attendees going to this page, looking at sessions, jumping into this agenda, highlighting sessions that they are interested in, which you can do by just clicking on these various stars. You can set up registration for the various sessions as well. Say if you only want a certain registration to have 100 spots in it, that's something we can also do. And then on the day of, you know, they kind of have that agenda set up and ready to go with the stuff they're interested in so that they can get the most out of the event that's possible. So any questions? Anything else you guys want to see?
I do have one quick question. This is Anna. So for if someone's having some type of like technical issue while they're in a session, I'm not sure if I saw this, so apologies if I'm repeating something, but was there like a button that they could press to get help or something like that?
Yeah, that's a really, really great question. So that is one thing we are actually currently getting ready to put on this page. But the idea for something like that is at the bottom of every page, we're going to have a big, hey, I need help button. And basically whenever they click to that, it goes to a page with a small form, and they can fill this out whether they are actually logged in or not. because maybe they're having login issues, and if they can't log in, they can't send us, a ticket. And then as soon as they fill that out, that would shoot off an email to any of the support staff we have devoted to this event, and they would be able to contact them and help them out.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and so a little bit more about all of the support we provide. I talked about the tech checks, and we really want to be as involved as possible. We want to provide that same customer service we do for live events. We want to have those tech checks with the presenters beforehand. We found that is the best way to get rid of all those problems the day of, is to just get ahead of them, identify them, because there are going to be issues. People are going to have kind of spotty internet wherever they are. My favorite story is we had a lady for an event. She was at an Airbnb down in Mexico with awful internet. It was amazing that she could even connect and talk with us. And we identified those issues a week in advance, and she got in contact with the provider at that particular Airbnb, and she was able to actually get a hardline connection. And the day of, she could present, because otherwise there's just no way she would be able to connect, and we were able to get that worked out 30 minutes before a session. So stuff like that we really try to get ahead of. And then on the day of, even, we're still we're there. We usually have technicians devoted to actually working with the presenters. The idea is that we're jumping in 15 minutes before that session with the presenter, making sure that they're ready to go, ready for attendees to drop into the room, and then we actually hang out with them throughout the session in case there's any technical difficulties. We found that to be a huge value add for our customers. Then we also, you were talking about that attendee support. A lot of times we'll actually have someone devoted just to attendee support. Now, one thing our platform offers that is a little different, but it really helps with that attendee support, and the fact that we don't have passwords with this platform. I know that sounds bad, but give me a second. So let's say I'm not signed into my account whatsoever. I go to the agenda, and we're going to try and join a broadcast, and it's going to say, hey, you need to log in. You're used to just typing in an email and a password to log in, but instead I'm just going to type in my email associated with my account. It's going to fire me off a quick email. I'm going to get that email on another screen. Okay, I just clicked that link, and now I'm logged in and ready to go. So we found that probably half the attendee issues that we get for other events is just, hey, I don't remember my password, or hey, I'm having trouble to log in. And this has solved a lot of that. It is a little different from most systems, but we found it to be very, very intuitive. And that also builds in really a nice level of security, because they have to have access to that email. And the nice thing too is, if they were to take that email that they got, say they email that off to 20 of their friends, because they all want them to have access to that conference for free, well, that's only going to allow them to log in from one device. So only one person with one device can be logged in and actually viewing a session. But if they have another device off to their side, like a phone or a tablet, they want to be browsing sessions, whatnot, they can also do that too.
So just so I understand, so for each session that you want to watch, you'd have to send it to your email and open it through there?
Nope. As soon as you're logged in that first time, you're ready to go on that device.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that would be awful.
And then I do have just one more quick question, just to bounce off of the live that you guys were talking about. Is there the ability to also do pre-recorded and live sessions, or do both?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, no, we really like the pre-recorded option. I mean, live is fine because you get a lot of interactivity. We're all about that because we think that's what really differentiates a good live event from a bad one. Because otherwise, I mean, it's like watching TV. But what we have seen that has worked really, really well is getting some of those sessions pre-recorded. Then you lose that whole issue of maybe their internet drops out during the session. You don't have to be concerned about that. But then maybe that particular presenter is still available at the end of that pre-record to answer questions and interact with attendees then. So you kind of get the best of both worlds that way.
That's great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Can Can I ask the team? So I'm sure you've looked at some other options and platforms. I'm just curious. And how do you think this compares to some of the other things you see? Is there anything missing that your customers have asked for or that you've been wanting to see, or I don't know, curious how that looks.
Just based off of the platforms that I've seen so far, I think this is really great. I mean, you guys have everything that I've been hearing people want and need, like the on-site, or not on-site, but virtual assistance, and the social is a big thing. I know that I've been hearing that people want still that platform to connect with other members and things like that. So this looks really great to me from what I've been hearing and seeing.
Okay.
Hey, you guys, it's Michelle. I have a couple questions. If you wouldn't mind jumping back to like sponsors, exhibitors. One, I would love to hear some of your success stories with companies that you have worked with that are really focused on the commercial side of their business, which are sponsors, exhibitors. And two, on this platform, like, okay, we're on the exhibitor page, and I know there's different levels of exhibitor options, sponsorship options. Some you click on, like you'll put I saw you put the arrow on one of those companies, you click on it, it opens up a description of their company, and maybe that's all they get because that's what they bought in at. But for the ones like, are all these levels that we will be needing in our exhibitor and sponsorship promotions and outreach, are all these levels included on your platform, or do you have different levels of buy-in for us?
Yeah, absolutely. That one, we'll kind of get a really good idea of what your particular event needs, because, as we know, every event's different. And kind of how the pricing structure works out is that we do have a cost for kind of the base platform, and you get a set number of sessions and sponsors and exhibitors that you get with that. And then beyond that, there is like a cost per exhibitor and session. And our idea behind that was, building out a website for, say, a very small show with like a dozen sessions versus a very large show with a couple hundred sessions is very different. So that's kind of why we do that. But we also didn't want to have that base charge and then, kind of tack on the additional fees no matter what. And you basically get nothing for that base charge is kind of why we did that. And then as far as building out these custom sites, obviously it's very, very easy just to be able to click on a sponsor and then just have a button go to the website. So that just takes absolutely nothing. Building out some of these other sites that are very, very custom does take some creative service time. And now our thought with that is that we would kind of make a template for that just to make that as easy as possible. So we send that example out to a particular exhibitor or sponsor and say, hey, this is the page you're interested in. These are the assets that we need from you, just to make those same build outs very, very quick and efficient and cost effective. But if you have an exhibitor or a sponsor that wants something really custom, they really, really want to set themselves apart and put all of the info they possibly can on there, that's still something we can absolutely help with. And we can make that happen. But that is charged at basically the amount of time that it takes to do that is kind of how that works. Hopefully I answered your question.
Yeah, you did, because a lot of what's on this extended, like on this sponsor that you're on right now, a lot of this is what we are talking about and looking at, including with our platform, because this is what's really important to our exhibitors and sponsors. They are very uneasy, some of them, not all, about the fact that they won't be live, they won't be face-to-face with their customers and their prospects. And how do we as a company, how do we fulfill those needs for them? How do we get them the closest we can to these pre-registers and these attendees? And all of these resources that you have up on the screen right now are what they've been asking for and what we're looking to have as part of our content and part of our platform.
So you think I'm sorry, do you think they'd buy into the having that someone man that booth and then have those conversations with a group and then maybe break out into more specific meetings on specific products or something? That's what you've been hearing?
Yeah, it's more of they're trying to figure out how we're going to replace that value of face to face and those conversations. And this has got to be part of it. There's got to be chat functions, there's got to be ways to connect. And, we don't, when it comes to meetings, we don't have an overabundance of time that we set aside for commercial and exhibits, which is challenging. But there are specific times that we can set aside where there's specific chat times. So if a customer is on a platform, chooses a platform like this, then they have to make themselves available for live chat. It's just a matter of education and conversation, and keeping them aware of what their responsibilities will be. So I did have one other question in regards to exhibitor sponsorship. Let's say, Mr. Jones jumps on the platform, and now I'm talking like back on your homepage where you had just some random sponsor logos. If somebody clicks on that, do we capture that data?
So you do get metrics off of that, absolutely. Basically, as soon as I click on this, I'm going to get some metrics on the back end that, hey, so many people have done that. Now, you don't get the like specific list, at least right as of now, of the particular people that clicked on that, which is mostly for a privacy type of factor, just because we really tried to emulate like the live exhibit hall as much as we could. But the idea is you still get the metrics of how many people visited that booth. And then if they want to be contacted by the various companies, then that's where you would fill out that quick contact form or something like that. Just like, someone scanning a badge in a booth is what we kind of tried to emulate with that. So I guess the answer is yes and no.
Okay. No, that answered my question. Thank you.
Yeah.
And John, this is Rob again. As far as getting, because Michelle and I have the same focus, as far as getting attendees to want to click on that exhibitors button or sponsors button, have you had experience with different gamification or ways to get an attendee involved to be clicking on that upper tab?
Yeah, we've definitely seen a lot of success with that. As far as like built-in native gamification of like, hey, go click on this guy's button and you get 5 points. That is something we don't have built into this particular platform. We still get all of those metrics, which is really handy. But the actual gamification that I've seen on some areas we don't have. But there's lots of ways I think to get people engaged with this type of stuff, and all of those features to actually be able to talk to them live. And this community I think is huge, just being able to contact people live in the platform. And something we're even looking at with our platform developer is not only being able just to do quick chats in here, but also be able to do quick video calls as well. That's something actually in the works right now. So just know that we are also completely building out things and adding new features on the agenda page. This area at the top up here that says, hey, these sessions are live right now, kind of highlights them at the top. That was something that was just implemented like as of a week ago. So know that what you see right now is the minimum that you're going to get to see for the actual conferences. Always have features.
Could you go back to that community page? So I'm assuming then under the categories that you have in the quick links on the left, under the group search, you could probably maybe even have something categorized there by, I'm going to call it for our healthcare folks, a disease state or something. If it was oncology, you could click on that and you could see not only attendees who have identified themselves as that, but also organizations that identified themselves under that category.
These selections off to the left are pretty set, and that's something else that we're looking at. Now I can say that you can pretty much search for about anything underneath the search bar on the left. So that's going to search for various things under people's profiles. So if they put that type of information within their profiles, that's something you could search for there.
Hi, John. This is Brooke. Question for you regarding the sessions. Do you offer any closed captioning, whether it's for a live session or pre-recorded, or do you work with a vendor for that?
Yeah, great question. So something I should have talked about more is just how easily we can integrate different platforms with this. I showed you a couple of the platforms that are very integrated with the system, such as Kaltura and Vimeo. But we could absolutely link something like Zoom or WebEx or pretty much any other platform to this. And to answer that question directly, it is dependent on what that platform supports. With Vimeo, we can absolutely do closed captioning, and we have a couple companies that we partner with to actually actively do that closed captioning. Or if you have a particular company that you like working with, that's fine, and we can integrate that very easily. And then Zoom is another great platform we like. Obviously, we're on a Zoom call right now. They have a lot of closed captioning functionality and translation abilities that we have on our Zoom accounts. We do use Zoom for a lot of stuff. Zoom is one thing that doesn't natively embed to these session pages like I showed you with Kaltura, but I can set it up to where whenever you click on this join broadcast button, that would just link you to a Zoom meeting. Everyone would be able to link to those meetings, and we have a lot of best practices as far as how to make those Zoom meetings very secure, which is definitely a hot topic for a lot of people right now. But we do believe with our best practices and some of the updates that Zoom has made that we can make these as secure as they need to be. And if you're needing stuff like translation and closed captioning, going with something like that might be a great way to go. And you get a lot of awesome metrics with Zoom webinars as well.
This is Michelle from Meetings. I have a question about for the live sessions that you host, if we do it through your platform, do we have the capability to record it with the Q&A function to provide later after the session? And then do you do editing for any of the video recordings as well?
Yeah, you're asking all the right questions. I love it. Yeah, we have a whole creative services department, and that is what they do is take recordings, edit them, or we can help you guys with doing those pre-records before the actual event and editing those down and making sure that they're ready to go for the day of. We just did an event not too long ago. It's called MJM, and we facilitated a lot of those recordings from the various locations. We added lower thirds and other graphics to them. And then on the day of, we also handle going into those sessions and kicking off those recordings and making sure all of that goes off without a hitch. So yeah, lots of abilities there. And also I wanted to highlight, I'm going to let Matt speak about this, but I wanted to highlight that, like we said before, we think MVP is an awesome platform, but we also realize that it may not be perfect for every event. We do some events that are just like one large long broadcast. They don't have a bunch of breakout sessions, so they don't necessarily need an agenda. So we've actually built out some pages for events like that. And if Matt, if you'll share your screen and kind of show off this website that you built for Mira Awards.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I'll show you guys some just different production aspects that we've been able to do for virtual events in general. Let's see here. John, would you be able to stop sharing for me real quick? Awesome. So this first event I'll show you here, it's we do it almost quarterly now for Purdue Global, their Concord Law School. Go ahead and mute this for me. So we facilitate this via Zoom meeting between two people, their dean and then usually a special guest. But we're able to add in a graphic overlay and really make it something that seems like a higher production value than just a general Zoom meeting being live streamed. They do all of theirs via Facebook because that's just where they have the most native audience to reach their message. This is really fun, and we've been doing it with them for long before COVID-19, and so it's been really successful for them. The next little example I have, John had mentioned it. This was MJ&M. It's Mac Brown, Jack Ingram, and Matthew McConaughey. Yet again, we brought them in via Zoom, added some graphic overlay aspects. As I use my beverage to see my screen, I can mute it here just so I don't get annoyed. But this show was a mix of live. All three of them were remote in different locations. And then we also did video playback as well, including graphic overlays and branding and sponsorship. We also facilitated a happy hour beforehand for VIPs, just so that they could get that one-on-one time that they're used to with the guys. We also, like John was saying, with our creative services, added in the lower thirds and created all this video content for their meeting. Finally, or not finally, one second to last, this was an event we did a couple months ago. This was Laughing Matters for the cancer support community. This was done out of our studio in Indianapolis. Just another example of how we can do graphic overlays, tickers, and really facilitate audience engagement in a virtual event. This is comedian Dave Dugan, very popular in Indiana, great guy, and it's incredibly funny. And then finally, this is the website that I've built out for Miro Awards. So this is a completely custom website. Miro Awards is done by a company called TechPoint here in Indianapolis. They do an award ceremony every year that's honoring the best of tech in Indiana. They really wanted something special for all their general attendees to go to. So we've created a countdown timer, save the date option so they can add their event to their calendars. This is where the live stream will actually happen, where everybody can go to and watch it. They wanted a virtual attendee resource center. So this links out to their website, all about their nominees. This is their social media platforms. They're going to be using a virtual photo booth. And then they also wanted us to integrate a Spotify playlist so all their participants can jam out together. We're adding an FAQ section so that if there's any random questions that people have, they can find easy answers to. Down here in the bottom left, I have a place for assistance, so they can click that button at any time. They can fill out this form, and then that goes to one of our technicians just to help anybody who's having issues on the site. And then, of course, sponsorship is important, and they have a ton of them. So we've gone ahead and added all of their sponsors to the page as well. They have a lot of sponsors. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to show off our other production aspects that we also do regarding virtual events.
When meetings do get back to in-person or hybrid type meetings, are you working on anything so that the exhibits can be like interactive with the live exhibits, like any video feeds or anything like that, where you can kind of walk the floor and just make it a little more like you're actually there?
Yeah, so this is something we've discussed. Now, this isn't something we have integrated with MVP yet, but we have a couple options that we could do with that. We have a fantastic 360 video camera that is in a room next door to me. We call them the Virgo, virtual reality on the go. And that's pretty much what that's really, really good at. We did a virtual graduation. Matt actually teched it, so I should be letting him talk about it. But basically, that thing was actually mobile. We were able to walk around the 360 camera, and people were able to jump into that video feed and then freely look around in a 360-degree environment as if they were there for the graduation ceremony. And we could do that same thing for, say, a booth at your show. And then some other stuff that we've looked at and talked about is it's a service that you see a lot, say if you're touring like a high-end home or an art exhibit, where you're actually able to look around a 360-degree environment and actually kind of move around virtually. That's something that we have also discussed and something we could do.